This is a very exciting day for me because the release of my new book is just days away. So I thought I'd make this video for everybody so you could kind of get some insight as to where this book came from. So it starts with a story that happened probably about a year and a half ago. A prospect that I was coaching asked me a really great question. She said, "Jill, everybody loves EOS, but when does EOS not work?" And I had never really been asked that question before. So after thanking her for a really good question, I really started to explore it. And I started to think about the clients who had started on the EOS process and then for some reason or another just didn't finish. I also started to think about those clients who just kept plugging along day after day, and it was just a struggle for them. The tools were easy, the tools were simple, but really contrasting them with the clients where it was just flowing. It was not perfect by any means, but EOS just really helped their company flow. And so over the last 18 months, I have been exploring the answers and maybe some evidence to that question. What makes some companies just really flow through change and other companies just really get stuck and have to muddle and muster through? And so I started to describe it in a couple of different ways. So first of all, when a company really wants to engage with the entrepreneurial operating system, EOS, a lot of times their first thought is, something's got to change. Change. And they're no strangers to change. Entrepreneurs are changing all the time. In fact, we have to. That's one of our unique abilities, is that we can change and mold. And we are rewarded for that out in the marketplace. Changing is good. A lot of times their people don't like so much change, but actually entrepreneurs, we kind of love change. So they think about that. Something's got to change. And they start rolling through the EOS process. Well, now, some people come in to the process with a change mindset, that we have to push through change and work through change and struggle through change and rock through change, and it just seems so or people are going to hate change. It also feels drastic, that if we're going to change, we got to make major changes. And that's just how they come into the process. They also come into the process expecting major change. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Now, other companies come into the process, and they probably have this thought as well, something's got to change. But their approach to change is more like this. It's more of an evolution that they're looking for. Not the drastic change that if we try one thing today, everything's going to magically be fine, but they come into the process knowing that it is going to take some time, that they are going to do this step by step, and they just have a different mindset. That's what the book is all about, is the difference between a change mindset and a more of an evolution mindset. And I go into 9 different categories and 3 different components of things that I've seen companies really thriving in their evolution versus really taking those deep dives that don't feel so good with lots of pressure into change. Going with that thought just a little bit more, as companies start to move into these changes, so they've had their focus day and vision building 1 and vision building 2, what I notice is that the first stage they go into is very mechanical. I'm teaching new tools. All the other EOS implementers also, we teach the same tools. There is a mechanical phase where you just follow step 1, step 2, step 3. You guys remember those first 5 meetings that you had, your first 5 level 10 meetings. They were very clunky and raw, and we don't know what we're doing. They're very mechanical. Now, some companies think that this mechanical piece is really what EOS is all about, is really what changing is all about. Just change the mechanics, you change the company. And the companies that go into this change with a mechanical mindset, we're just going to follow the rules 1, 2, 3, and everything's going to be great, they get frustrated really early because they're not seeing the changes that they want. Now, don't get me wrong. You do see a lot of benefit just by being mechanical. Sometimes just having to start the meeting on time, you get a lot of benefit from that. But what we're investigating here in the new book is what really makes it flow. It's almost effortless. It's fun. It feels good. Everybody you almost vibe because it's so good. So the next stage here, after you master the mechanical and you really have your steps down right, you really move into methodical. And in my mind, they're totally different. Mechanical is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 1, and then ABC, and step 2 and ABC, almost like a standard operating procedure that you are going to follow. Methodical is much more broad. Methodical is now we're going to follow the general steps, but we have a flow. We have some freedom. I like to say, lots of other people say too, structure. It's just a nice structure. Structure frees creativity for you to go to the next level. I'm a big fan of massage therapy, and I have a massage therapist that I love. He just totally knows exactly what he's doing. I get regular massages with Chris, like he's my guy. Well, one day Chris wasn't available, but I needed a massage, and they said, oh, we have this other therapist. I said, great, sign me up. Had the massage and went home, and my son said, how was your massage, Mom? And I said, it was great. It was fine. There was nothing wrong with it, but it was very mechanical. I could tell that she was following the steps. And I thought to myself, but Chris is methodical. He still goes from section to section, but he's very methodical. And then it was at that moment when I realized that Chris was not methodical. Chris, much like leadership teams who effortlessly live in this evolution mindset, Chris had moved from methodical to mastery. And I have coached teams who thought that the mechanics was going to change their business. And they didn't get everything they want. And when it got hard, because I was pushing them to make sure this was more of a method, pushing them into their next level of growth, they didn't like it. They were fearful and they quit. There are companies who quit their change. In fact, you might be one of those companies too. You try something. If it doesn't automatically work, you stop. You try something else. If it doesn't automatically work, you stop. Are you in the mechanical mindset? Most of the time, what I've been finding is that people quit, slow down, say this is good enough. We'll talk about that. Be out of fear. And fear manifests itself in many different ways. Ego is a big way that fear manifests itself. Anger, impatience. So there's a lot we can go into that with you and your counselor and your psychologist and all of that stuff. But in this context, I see a lot of people just clunking along out of fear. They think the mechanics is going to fix it, and it doesn't give them everything they want. A lot, but not everything. Now, I've also found teams who really get stuck here in methodical. We've got the method, but it's not quite to the point where we have now created mastery out of it. It's just a part of who we are. And these teams don't quit. These teams follow the EOS process. These teams graduate, which I love teams to graduate. That's great. I pat myself on the back. I pushed another bird out of the nest. Coaches love to see success. But sometimes what I found is these teams say, they stop here at methodical and they call it good enough. And it's still just a little painful for them to evolve or change, whichever mindset they like, every day. Now the teams who have really started to make this flow, And there is no perfect team out there. There is no perfect team out there. But they find themselves in situations of mastery where they've taken the tools, they've made them their own. It's part of how they live. And they have more of this evolutionary mindset. How did they get to mastery? They had patience. They lead with love and joy and optimism and, oh, this didn't work, we're going to try something else. We're going to tweak it just a little bit. We're going to stay in the experiment. So what I've done in this book is I have explored all of these cool things, characteristics, things that companies who love to live in mastery have, who have more of that evolutionary mindset of their company. I've explored for you and put into book form for you how you can more live in this mastery stage, how you can live in a more, it feels more effortless. I'm not saying it's not going to be hard work, because it's still hard work, because you got to get through this and this to get to this. And this is where all the work happens. Stay in it. Stay in it so that you can hit that level of mastery. So with that, here's the title of the new book. It is called In Courage. So, funny story, I was telling my mom, I had just decided on the name of the book. And I called my mom because, you know, every daughter calls their mom. I'm so excited. I said, the name of the book is In Courage. And she goes, oh, yeah, like you've got to muster up the courage. You got to bring the courage up from the depths of wherever. You got to put your bootstraps on and have courage. And I said, no, nope. It's the opposite of that, Mom. What I'm asking you to do and what I'm offering you is to live in courage every day. Make it a normal part of how you are gaining mastery, living in that more of that evolutionary mindset of that change of your company. Do it every day, where this becomes second nature. And that's what I found. Those companies where mastery is just second nature, they're living in courage every day. That means they feel the fear and they do it anyway, that classic definition of courage. But they do it with how they are thinking first. And that's what we call a mindset. How are you thinking about your thinking? So I hope to see you soon in the pages of the book. And I hope that from now on, you'll be able to have more of an evolutionary mindset towards the change of your company and live in courage every day.